Let's take another breath. Breathing's good. Our theme this month is healing. And my topic today is that gratitude is the first step to healing. Gratitude's the first step. And I just want to remind us not to confuse fixing and healing. Don't confuse fixing and healing. Fixing starts off with the idea that there's something wrong, and we need some sort of external intervention. We're trying to bring something in to tweak it, to manipulate it. It's an add-on, so to speak, where it happens from the outside and then something shifts on the inner. That's not healing. Healing is just the opposite. Healing starts with the idea that there's something right. Check the difference. There's something right. And what is it that we need to do to stimulate, to activate what's right? So healing happens from the inside out. From the inside out. I think this is the reason why we don't actually experience more healing, because we're busy looking for some person, place, or thing that we can superimpose on it to make a difference. You know, I'm not saying this as like a wholesale criticism of our pharmaceutical industry. My dad practiced pharmacy for 58 years. I have the utmost respect for it. You know, and there's things that make you go, So this is Thanksgiving weekend, so I'm back at the family home, and I notice a bottle of pills that belonged to somebody in the family. And I just Googled it, because I knew that they, had these different kind of conditions. And I am not kidding you. I am not kidding. The side effects were in 5 different categories, and I counted them. 69 side effects were listed. 69. And I couldn't help but thinking in that moment, this is a fix-it approach. I'm going to try to get to this one thing. Now, there might be all these other things that happen, but that's just par for the course. Are you with me? We do that thinking everywhere, straight on up to our politics. In war, we call it collateral damage. Collateral damage. I'm trying to get this thing over here, but all these other things go. Okay. I remember when we assassinated Osama bin Laden. And you'll hear that. Oh, we killed Osama bin Laden. But nobody mentions the other 25 people that we blew up at the same time, including his son and his wife and everything else. That's collateral damage. Okay. We got this thing done, but then there's all that other stuff. So just think about your life. Just think about your life. How often we don't have a healing approach, because a healing approach says that somehow or another it's going to work throughout. See, healing is inclusive. Healing doesn't leave anybody behind. When your body really gets healed and restored, it's not going to come with a lot of side effects. Healing doesn't have negative, bad side effects. You may have some discomfort along the way. Sometimes the processes are a little bit challenging. It may not look at the end like you thought it was going to look like at the beginning. But I promise you that when healing takes place, there's a wholeness. The healing brings all of you in. So beware when you are in a mode of quote-unquote healing, but there's certain aspects of yourself that you don't want to touch you don't want to have disturbed, or you aren't thinking largely enough that all of you can be healed. God, I want a new job, but don't move me. I want a new job, but I ain't got time for relationships right now. We'll do love next year. Okay? I'm going to do health this year. I'm going to do wealth next year. And I'm going to do this next year. Like, don't mess with my game plan. I've got this order in which I want to do things. You know that joke, you want to make God laugh? Tell him about your plans. It's not the way it works. When the healing takes place, it's open season. It's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle from our ego standpoint. We've got all of these pieces that are there, and somehow we know they all fit, but we're trying to figure out which ones fit, and we pick up this one piece, and we're busy trying to figure out what happens with this one piece. Maybe it's the center, but maybe what's coming together is the right corner. Maybe what's coming together is the edges. Or maybe we're worried about the edges, but what's coming together is the middle. And we can't see how all the rest of it's coming together because universe, you won't tell me what to do with this one piece. Everything has a place someplace. Everything has a place someplace. Maybe its place is in the compost pile. I'm just saying. Everything has a place someplace. But the good news about healing is that we don't have to figure that out. Isn't that great? We don't have to figure out what comes, what stays. We don't have to figure that out. We just have to be open to the healing. The way that our lives are configured, everything supports everything else. Everything supports everything else. You take you with you wherever you go. So if you, for example, decide that you want to go into recovery, let's say it's alcoholism, you can't just start off with, God, stop me from drinking. Because you've got a whole life designed to support your drinking. That's why we don't make it through detox. It's not just the physical stuff, but the dismantling of all of the things that have not supported our healing. Like we want it partially. We just like take rid of the drinking. But drinking's not your problem. Drinking's masking your problem. You won't even know what your problem is till you stop drinking. You won't even know what it is till you stop drinking. And then when you stop drinking, then you see, oh, there's all these other things that need to shift. Then we wind up cursing the blessing. That's why gratitude is the first step towards healing. Gratitude. When we are in deep need of feeling like we're needing a healing, there's a tendency for us to get into a sense of powerlessness, of victimization, of anger or resentment, or all of these other things that emotionally take us down some rabbit hole so that we're not fully present. We're not fully present that for all that the divine is trying to do in our lives. See, at the core of healing, there's something right. There's something right. I talked about this pharmaceutical approach. But when you really think about it, all interventions, I don't care what they are, even if they're coming at it with a fix-it approach, they have the idea that there is something in there that still works. We just have different ideas about how invasive the intervention needs to be to make it happen. But you hear me use the example sometimes of a heart transplant, where even something as drastic as a heart transplant is banking on the fact that there is something right and still working in your body. I can take your heart out, put somebody else's heart in your body, and your body's going to receive it. Your body's going to accept it. Your body knows how to work with a good heart. It knows how to do that. And that banking on your body receiving this heart literally without skipping a beat. Drastic. Somebody else's heart. But it still has that idea that there's something within you that works. That there's something within you that's right. And if you were busy judging and condemning your body because it wasn't working the way you wanted it to work, you wouldn't be receptive to the healing. Listen to that. If all you were doing was judging your body, you wouldn't be receptive to the healing. If all you were doing was judging your behaviors because you were drinking too much, you wouldn't be receptive to the healing. There has to be some gratitude somewhere. And if you can't be grateful for your life, what has been, a little gratitude for possibility of what could be. You may not feel like you're strong enough, but at least grateful enough that there are AA programs and somebody around to support you. Amen. Just start there. But there has to be some gratitude somewhere to open up and to start to take the step towards healing. So think about those areas in your life where you feel like you're having troubles with. Maybe it's your finances. Where's the gratitude? Think about that now. Is there any gratitude or gratefulness anywhere? See? We look at the lack. We look at the limitation. We don't look at the wholeness. We're not looking at the possibilities of it all. Are we grateful? And the moment we get into gratitude, it heals the sense of separation. The only thing that ever needs to be healed is just the sense of separation. Whether it's separate from our good, separate from our health, our wealth, each other, God, whatever that is. And there is something about gratitude that does that. I missed that growing up. There's a phrase they used to say all the time, count your blessings. And it seemed to me as rote as count sheep to go to sleep. Like just count these things. And I didn't get it. I didn't get it. I didn't get that the idea of counting your blessings meant stop whining. Stop whining. Stop complaining. Stop seeing yourself as a victim. Get out of the lack and limitation consciousness. Stop for a moment and take stock of the fact that things are not nearly as bad as you were claiming them to be. That what you need is an attitude adjustment. What you need is a kaleidoscopic twist of your perception, and a way to twist this perception, the kaleidoscope of your life, is to start becoming aware of the positive, aware of the blessings, aware of all what has happened, not just all that you think hasn't happened, or taking stock of the way in which there has been good that's come out of things that otherwise you just had a wholesale judgment or condemnation of. That the idea of count your blessings puts you back in the game, because we get out of the game. Woe me, and everybody else having fun. Woe me, everybody else getting love. Woe me, everybody else got wealth. Woe me, everybody else doing better than I am. Woe me, woe me. You're never going to get a healing that way. Healing can only come when there is some gratitude. We're coming up on the holidays right now. We just got through with Thanksgiving. Try this at home. You know, you see those warnings like, don't try this. This is a professional track. Don't try to drive like this. Don't attempt this stunt. Try this at home. Try this everywhere. A little bit of gratitude. I promise you, if all those annoying people in your life, if you would have just a little bit of gratitude for the fact that they're even alive. I was driving back from Los Angeles last night, and to keep myself awake, I was listening to some stuff on YouTube. And I was listening to a recent talk that President Obama did. He has a new organization that he has started that's all about helping groups to, like building leadership and mentorship. And he was talking about his first experience as a community organizer in Chicago. And this particular foundation is started in Chicago, like back where he grew up in Hawaii, but Chicago is, like he says, like the place where he got his roots in politics and all the rest of that. And he said his boss told him his first assignment was to go out and just talk to people. That's all. His job was just to go and listen to their stories, like for 30 days or something like that. Then come back and tell me what you learned. It's all he did. And then he shared what he learned. And what he learned, he said, that everybody has a story. And that their story is sacred. That everybody's journey is sacred. And that if you listen to enough stories, after a while you'll see themes, and that there's a basic story under everybody's story. And that was the root of community. The root of community was this understanding how the stories weren't different. That there's a way in which they intersect. You take this room right now. One of the most common comments I get after I speak is people say, it felt like you were speaking directly to me. Anybody ever had that experience? I am. I am. That's my intent. Because what I know is that this configuration of individuals has never been before. And it will never be again. That this is a unique, once-in-a-lifetime experience. And that there is some reason why all of our lives are intersecting and converging at this moment in this room, or on that social media platform, or whatever. It's not an accident. Are you with me? It's like these labyrinths of life. You ever walk a labyrinth and you get to that point and it's like you're butting right up against somebody else that's also in the labyrinth? Like all the labyrinths of our lives are intersecting at this moment. So there is something that all of us need right now. Each and every one of us. And I always pray, God, speak that through me. Not a preconceived idea of what I want to say, but what is it that all of us need, including me. So when it feels like I'm speaking to you, I am. And if you weren't here, it'd have been another message. I don't know what else it would have been, but it was the message that it was because you're here. Okay? This is opening up for the healing. So I have a sense of gratitude for everybody who's in the room. Whether I know you or not, I know your life has brought you here, and that's a blessing. I don't care what all else you have done. When we do prison outreach, I'm not overly concerned with why everybody is in prison. I don't know. Not my call to even judge. But what I know is that everybody has a life, everybody has a story, and if we will open up and listen to each other's stories, we'll all be blessed by it and we'll all be healed. I'm healed by who they are. When we start our programs there's like 50 guys sitting around. We always start with gratitude. And I remember the first time we decided to do that. And my first thought is this a good idea? You got people in prison, and you want them to go around and say what they are grateful for? And you know what? It's beautiful. And you would not know the difference. If you just recorded it and played it back of all the things that they are grateful for, you would not have known that this was coming from people who were inside of a prison. You wouldn't have known. Because gratitude trumps all that. Gratitude isn't just about the circumstance. It's not just about the condition. Things don't have to be like a certain kind of way. The gratitude is an inside job. That's why it's the first step to healing, because healing is an inside job. The gratitude isn't just thankfulness because these things had happened. This idea of counting your blessings and looking at all these things that happened is a jump start. It's not the essence of the gratitude, but if you aren't even paying attention, if you're not even looking for it, then you can't get to the point where you get to the underlying feeling of it. It's kind of like love, where in order to activate the love, you may be thinking about a particular person or directing your energy towards a certain person. But if you're going to tap into that vibration of love, it's got to go beyond the particulars of one relationship. If you're going to tap into that vibration of love, that one particular relationship may lead you into its vibration, but once you tap into the love, it's bigger and greater than anything that's happening to one relationship. That's why we get stuck in the not healing. Because then when that relationship's not working right, I disconnect myself from the feeling of love itself. When that particular revenue stream isn't happening, then I disconnect myself with the sense of wealth itself. When it's not happening like that particular way, then I forget that the whole thing is there. But if you can get to the point where you have a sense of gratitude, not just for the minutia, not just for the particular things, but for the bigness of it. You are alive. You're a child of God. You are struggling through whatever it is that you're struggling with. And can I have just a little bit of gratitude for that? That we're all here. That we're all here on this planet together. It is not about winning over people. It's not we won, it's we're one. We're one. And for those of you, now listen to what I'm saying. For those of you who really want a healing of this nation, do you have gratitude now? The moment I ask people, what are you grateful for in this great nation, or where's the gratitude? How can you be grateful? How can you be thankful? Aren't you reading the news? This thing's happening, that thing. How can you talk about, how can you, oh yeah, healing's gonna come out of that. Oh yeah, any day now. So hold your breath. Newsflash. You don't want monolithic thinking. That's not what you want. You want diversity. You want variety. You don't want a single party, I don't care which party it is, running the nation. It's basic aerodynamics. Left wing, right wing. Same wing, going different directions. But that's what gives it the lift. That's what gives it the lift. The left wing ain't going anywhere without the right. You try to fight with just the left wing. It's not happening. It's not happening. And we got to get beyond thinking of this as partisanship. Most of the stuff that we really have to work on isn't partisan. Climate change is not partisan. That's not a partisan issue. Clean water is not partisan. Education, housing, health, economic security, these are not partisan issues. It's us as a community. Yes? It's us as one people. It's us as one population. And if there's any part of us that's willing to say, you know what? If all the best minds put their minds together, then we're going to come up with a better mousetrap. I see what I see. I'm born and raised in California. I am as stereotypical of a Californian as you can possibly get. My father was born and raised in Compton. I'm multiple generations from California. I've only lived in California. 350 miles apart. Woo! But right on the coast. Even as we stand here right now, we could drive, and in 4 minutes, be on the, like the little edge you see on the map, like on the coast. That comes with its own biases. And I dare say its own prejudices. There's stuff I can't see. I don't know what's happening in the Appalachian Mountains. I don't. I've never lived in the Midwest. I don't know what's happening in the Delta or the bayous. We're all people. I've got some compassion, but can you see what I'm saying? That I don't want to be the only one to make laws about what's going on or what's happening without having the voices of everybody in the mix. And I'm grateful for the variety. If you're grateful for diversity, you got to be grateful for all the diversity. Okay? And that's more than just the diversity you like. Or the diversity that's convenient for you. You're laughing. But it's like, oh, I like diversity, but not that kind. You know, we want this kind of diversity. But we don't want that kind of diversity. No. So if you get a sense of what I'm saying, if you have gratitude for diversity, then you've got gratitude for diversity. See, if you have gratitude for democracy and community and people, then you have gratitude for that. And if you have gratitude for that, then you're not going to separate. You're not going to split. There's going to be a place in your heart for everybody. If you have gratitude for community, if you have gratitude for spiritual community, if you have gratitude for family, you're not going to split. Even when you don't like what the other ones are doing. You won't split. Because the gratitude for that idea that we're all part of a family will override the rest. But if I'm stuck in my judgment, I love the way that Jesus put it. He said, why are you worried about the splinter in your brother's eye? Worry about the beam in your own. You got a beam in your own. And what I know is if there's any part of you, just like they told me as a little kid, just count your blessings. If there's any part of you that's willing to rise above all of the woe of what's not going on, and just start with what is working, what is good, what is whole. I'm going to end with the spoken word piece, but the cry of this baby, and I can see through the doors to the parking lot, is reminding me of this scene. And I just spoke about it not too long ago, and if I said it in here, I apologize for repeating it. Somebody in my first year practitioner training, Sherry Carlson, is part of a family, a multi-generational family that was here at Inner Light. Her mom was in the choir. And the first week of the practitioner training, Sherry's son died, 24 years old. And it was really tragic, just the emotion and whatnot. But she decided to continue on with the course. So we helped her through that. So the memorial was here. I remember standing right here and looking at the family and all the grief. And there's just something about sudden and people who are young that it kind of taps into this collective psyche about all what could have been. And there was this sweet moment right outside on the parking lot when Sherry's mother and her father, Tina and Patrick, were meeting one of their great-grandchildren for the first time. It was a 6-week-old. So here they are at the memorial of their grandson, and they are embracing a new great-grandchild whom they had never seen in the parking lot. And the unabashed joy and gratitude that they had for the life of this child. So can you imagine if their hearts were so grieved as to think, oh, God took away my grandson and, it's all bad and it's, all over and, how could they do this to me and whatnot? They would have missed this new life that was right here waiting to be embraced. Okay? So the healing requires that we hold the balance of it. I'm not saying don't see the negative stuff, don't mourn, don't grieve, but don't let the mourning suck you in to such a point that you're missing the new life, that you're missing all of the other things that are going on around you. Don't get so stuck. 12-step programs, one of the first things they have you do is be of service. Be of service that gets you out of your own muck, out of your own story, out of their own myopic, egotistical, and then you get a little gratitude when you connect with other people. Then you see how good God is. When you see how life is still in session. Even if you're feeding folks on Skid Row, there's this sense of, my God, the resilience of the human spirit. The fact that these folks are still here. The fact that they've got stories to tell. The fact that love is still happening. The fact that I'm being blessed by all of these people that I might not have ever known. Oh, if you stay in some gratitude, I'm telling you, there are healings that are possible for you that you can't even imagine. And with this being the end of the month on healing and the fact that we just had our midterm elections, I want to end this on a spoken word piece. It actually was written 14 years ago for the election when George W. Bush got his second term. And I was just going through my pieces, and I had forgotten all about this. And it was so frighteningly relevant to where we are today that I had to dust it out. I tweaked some references, and I am pleased to say that in spite of how much things seemed like they were still the same, there were some issues like marriage equality and 3 strikes and whatnot that we'd actually made some progress on in 14 years. But the general kind of tone and tenor of the stuff was like still the same. And I want to share this as a call up, okay? To help to call us up, because we can get so jaded in what we see that we're missing the beauty. I've been telling people, I said, my social justice work, I used to be trying to help divide the bridges between, conservatives and progressives and religious groups and whatnot. I said, now I'm spending all my time with the so-called progressives just trying to keep them from slipping down the slope. Really, it's like that's all my time now, is helping us not get so much into the divisiveness and the pain and the anger and the rage that we're doing the very things that we say that we're against. Amen. So we're here to hold the high watch. So I call this ballot box review. It's just, upon reflection, we just had an election of projection. 2 sides pitted against each other, a divide so wide they couldn't even see the other side. Fear, the driving force, putting us on a course of alienation, separation, and retaliation. Lines drawn in the sand, shifting soil in which nothing can stand. Mistrust, distrust, disgust of them, whoever they may be, defined by our own obscurity. Perceptions, perceiving their own preconceptions, predetermining the conclusion by their premises. Construct of antagonist, protagonist, in the midst of every circumstance, never taking the chance to break free from our collusion with this illusion, forever preventing an resolution of inclusion. Can we be so small as to build a wall against families freeing the thralls of corruption, destruction, and poverty? How do we keep Our Lady Liberty's torch aflame as she proclaims, "Bring me your tired, bring me your poor, your huddled masses longing to be free, the wretched refuge of your teemed shores. Bring these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door." Yet, no more. The cry we hear across the country from the descendants of Lady Liberty's refugees who cry, "No more. No more in this country unless they look like me." When will equality be a reality? Across race, across gender, nationality, and variety of family. When will life be respected? Animosity rejected? When will religion denounce hate, and when will hate no longer be a religion? Why? Why do we let decency, civility, democracy become a rarity and allow divisiveness to create a new norm of polarity, with nobody policing the police? How can anybody not believe in climate change that's rearranging the landscape of the planet? And can we be so spoiled as to be killing each other for her oil? Some plead to the president to protect us from the terrorists. Others plead to be protected from the president, claiming to protect us from the terrorists through very toxic tactics, like alienating our ally, colluding with foreign spies, spreading Jim Crow lies to see how far mistruths can fly. No more. No more. Just how many scandals can one nation handle? We're not sheeple. A free press is not the enemy of the people. It's not. These kinds of protections need a wholesale dejection. Liberties martyred in the name of protecting liberty. And who's to say what constitutes terrorism anyway? Whatever happened to two wrongs do not make a right. The conservative right, the progressive left, as contradictory in terms as holy war. Neanderthal thinking armed with 21st century arsenals, and still the greatest weapon of mass destruction is just our mouth. Spewing the kind of separation that leads to denigration. We claim to be clamoring to be the world's sole superpower. And undoubtedly it's last. Because just as the prophet M.L.K. Jr. prophesied about segregation, so it's true now. The days of nationalistic imperialism are over. You can be certain of that. The only thing uncertain about it is how costly nationalistic imperialists will make the funeral. We claim to be protecting the world, but who protects the world from us? People don't know who to trust. We don't know to be more afraid of the people who don't believe in God or the ones who say that they do. Can we invest more in the one than the gun? Can we get some sanity, some harmony, some unity? Remember the we? You are me and I am you. And because this is true, the only protecting that we need do is from forgetting that the seeming two are really just one. There's only one of us here. Amen. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Only one of us here. It's just the one. As we turn within, we're so grateful. We're so grateful. Because we know that every test is a testimony in the making. That every trial and tribulation is a triumph in the making. And we can't hear what we don't feel, so we say, thank you, God, for giving us the opportunities to break free, to know what we know, to grow and to heal and to transform. Oh, we give thanks. We give thanks. We give thanks for blessings large and for blessings small. Thank you, God, for having brought us from such a mighty long way. We're not everything that we ought to be, but thank God we're not what we used to be. Thank you for doors of opportunity opening up. Thank you for the hardened husk of our hearts falling off. Letting out the love and the compassion. Thank you for her third eyes being open, for opening time-blinded eyes so that we can see. Thank you for divine distribution. Oh, there's enough. We live in a world of enough. We don't need more stuff. Everything just needs to get to where it needs to be. We pray for the will in this moment to let go, to release, to let it flow. Divine order, divine right housing, divine right transportation, divine right opportunities, divine right employment, divine right relationships, healing of the body temple. There's enough. There's enough. The lungs won't sacrifice the heart getting healed. The eyes won't sacrifice the liver getting healed. Oh, it takes all of it. And so it is with our lives. All of our life comes into the healing. Even the stuff we don't like, we stop the judgment. No more bum knee. No more this person, that person driving me crazy. Oh no, that's an affirmation. No, we're not going crazy. And no one and nothing is going to be the death of us, only the life. Oh yes. The message of wholeness was come so that we might have life, and life more abundantly. So in this moment right now, we say thank you. All over the world, whether people are safe in their homes, whether they don't have homes, they could be in prison or refugee camps or hospitals, nursing homes, whatever the age, newborns, taking their first breath, people even as I'm speaking, taking their last. We bless them on their journey. I speak my word for the unleashing of all of the creativity, for the unleashing of the spiritual genius that you've given us, so that we can live in a world with more sustainability and more justice and more wholeness. As Jesus said, seek first the kingdom of God and all of its righteousness, all of its justice, and all things will be added. So I say thank you. Mother, Father, Father, God, create in us a clean heart and renew a right spirit within us. It is good. It is done. Bless this spiritual community. Bless all communities, wherever they may be, regardless of their religious or spiritual traditions. You love us all. May we all come into the oneness, experience your bounty and your grace, which is truly sufficient. And in this season that we're entering now, of all of the buying and all of the shopping and all of the rest of that, oh, Mother, Father, God, may our hearts be pure. May our hearts be pure. There's enough for all of our needs, but not enough for anybody's greed, as Gandhi explained to us. So I pray in this moment, all need met. It is good. We get out of the way. We allow it to be. And so it is.